Welcome, Rusty Knox, candidate for mayor of the town of Davidson. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to respond to 3 questions during this live Facebook interview.
Thanks, Ellen.
All candidates will answer the same questions and we'll have about 3 minutes per question. And I'll signal you when we're getting close to the 3 minute mark for each question, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first question: what do you believe are the 3 most important issues facing our town right now, and how would you address these critical issues?
Well, there's 3 really important issues to me right now. The first one is transparency and accountability in town hall. I think for too long there's been a prescribed agenda that's been orchestrated by some elected officials and some staffers. And that agenda is not necessarily in the mainstream of what most of the public thinks is best for town. I think citizen input is important, but I don't think citizen input has been taken into account in this agenda. I think a lot of times decisions, and this has been proved recently, decisions have been made the night before a vote takes place. And that can't happen. It shouldn't happen in the private sector. It shouldn't happen in the public sector. We have got a wonderful group of staff at our town, and I think we're very blessed to have the qualified staff that we have. But I think that staff has been misdirected by certain officials in town, and they've gone against what is the fiber of Davidson, what makes Davidson unique. The second thing is the financial well-being of Davidson. In 2007, as you know, we bought MI Connection for $80 million. The following year, the sitting board extended that loan by $12 million for an additional client base that Time Warner brought to the table. So we had a total debt of $92 million, and we have paid that down to a point. But today, this is crippling Davidson. We lose 9.4% of our budget every year to MI Connection, and we have got to develop an exit strategy. And this needs to be done with Mooresville. As we're losing $1 million a year, Mooresville's losing 3 point something every year. And to date, we've lost almost $17 million as a town. And that number is going to continue to rise. So we've got to figure out a way to get out of this thing sooner than later. The last thing is maintaining the character of our town. Core value number 5 says that Davidson's characteristic is that of a small town. I love our small town. Everybody that moves here, everybody that visits here loves the same thing. And right now we are in this growth mode to generate tax base that's destroying that fiber of what Davidson has historically been good at, and that's being a small town. We've got to hit pause. We've got to take a hard look at where our tax base comes from. 64% of our tax base roughly is residential taxes right now, with 36% being commercial tax base. We have got to develop a commercial tax base to provide a solid future for Davidson financially.
Thank you very much. Second question, it's a 2-part question having to do with strengths and weaknesses. What are the greatest strengths or experience you bring as a candidate for mayor, and how would you apply these strengths and experiences to better Davidson?
Well, I'm a people person. I'm very approachable. I listen. I'm engaged. I like being inclusive and bringing other people to the table. And for me, the biggest thing is I'm a townie. And for that means something for me. And a lot of people don't get that. But if you understand what being a townie means, then you get it. And you don't have to be a lifelong resident to be a townie. You can still jump in and be involved and be engaged and be a good steward of this town and be a townie. So that it's more than just longevity in town. I've been a coach over the years. I've been a sales trainer. I've been a sales leader. I've been a church leader. I've been a mentor to kids. I volunteer with Ada Jenkins, with Angels of 97, with Hope House Foundation, with the Joe Martin ALS golf tournament every year, with the Levine Hospice Center, with Breast Cancer Awareness, with the Davidson Farmers Market, and with the Davidson Housing Coalition. These are things that you do because it's the fiber of town. These are not things that you do for notoriety or anything else. And I love doing these things every year to see the same people that I see year after year. And some of these things I've been doing for 15 years. I've been engaged for a long time. As you know, my family has been very civically oriented, both on a volunteer basis and an elected basis. And my parents instilled that sense of civic awareness in me where you're supposed to give back. And I do.
Terrific. On the flip side, what are your weaknesses or areas for further development, and how would you address these weaknesses or needs for development in order to best serve our town?
Well, I've never had an elected office, and I'm not sure if that's a weakness or not. I'm not tainted by the political process. I do understand politics. My mom made sure that when I was brought up, I was immersed with a bunch of professors at the college, and I understand local, state, regional, national, and international politics. And I appreciate that, but I'm not tainted by that. So my weakness is probably going to be in the protocol that is the regimented form of government versus what common sense says. That being said, there's rules that we govern by. I can learn those rules. They aren't that hard. And I will, but I want to make sure that everyone understands that whatever those rules are, it will never negate the passion that brought me to this point.
Thank you. And last question. What do you think the role of mayor is and should be? What duties are prescribed by the statute, and how does that translate to day-to-day operations in Davidson?
Well, the mayor is the cheerleader. The mayor is the liaison between Davidson and the surrounding communities, between Davidson and the college, between Davidson and local industry, between Davidson and state level and national level politicians that can help us out. The mayor has to be that go-to guy. I've talked to local elected officials. I've talked to local community leaders. I've talked to local industry. I've talked to the college. And I found out that we've created a bubble here in Davidson, that we have separated ourselves from our neighbors, and we don't have relationships with these folks. That's what the mayor does. That's what I want to do. I want to be that guy that puts his hand out and says, welcome. I want to be that guy that helps recruit industry for a tax base to Davidson. I want to be that guy that bolsters our relationship with Davidson College. And on a larger scale, the Department of Transportation and Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools to make sure we're getting our fair share. Additionally, having a relationship at the state level and the national level, I think is paramount to get things done. Davidson by itself is almost 13,000 people, but collectively with Huntersville and Cornelius, we're about 140,000 people. That has a voice in the county and potentially has a voice in the state. But having a relationship with Senator Tart and Representative Bradford on the state level, which I do, is an important thing. And I have a wonderful relationship with Tom Tillis. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I do understand that when we need something, if you got to call the bigger dog in, I'm willing to pick up the phone and make that phone call. As far as the protocol and what the mayor does, the mayor has specified duties. The mayor and the town manager set agendas. The mayor is responsible for running an organized meeting. The mayor does have the ability to orchestrate some appointments on certain boards, and I think those appointments need to be well thought out in order to make those boards create a healthy Davidson for all of us. Paying respect.